Spaten Optimator, which is a really great double bock. When you see ATOR at the end of a beer name, it means it's a double bock. I have never gotten a straight answer as to where the tradition came from.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
It actually comes from Paulaner. The brewer, I forget his name, Salvatore, I believe. Anyway, he came up with the style at Paulaner Brewery in Germany about 150 or so years ago. And Salvatore, which is the Paulaner Doppelbock, is the original Doppelbock. And since then, all the other most of the other Doppelbocks, including American Doppelbocks, have used the ATOR ending in homage to Salvatore, the brewer from Paulaner. So there you go.
There we go.
Thank
you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. I tried to look it up a couple of times, never succeeded in finding it, or at least never sticking it in my head. I'm glad it stuck in your head. So now we all know why they all ended ATOR.
Yep. So that's a big hint.
Yeah, and if you get brewers sitting around, and especially if they're sitting around over a double bock, you get some really creative names that wouldn't get past the TTB by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think they'd let me get away with defibrillator?
I know, you'll have to ask.
You don't want any of this, do you, Jeremy?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, yes. By no, I mean yes.
And it's fun. The other thing on the label that's very cool on these is that there was, as I came up in the beer circles, there was the argument about whether or not, for a while, the Optimator was coming in with only a single shovel on the label, and you'll notice that this one has the Doppelspaten, with 2 shovels on it.
Yep. Spaten is German for spade.
Yes, it is.
And of course, this has the classic, the most beautiful malty melanoidin. We were talking about melanoidins before.
Yep.
I mean, the Doppelbock is known for that kind of real toasty. Well, how would you describe a melanoidin?
Well, I mean, to me, it's it really is the idea of, if when you actually make caramel at home and you let the sugar slowly, melt and then brown a little bit, that's what you're talking about in terms of the reduction, and it happens with all starches as they get heated. That's why we have toast. It makes it a little bit sweeter, and with the double box, there's a couple of things going on. Often they would use decoction. Even long after they stopped doing decoction masters for other beers, they would do it with this one to keep that maltiness up front and give it a lot of character. And so you're doing that. The other part is that often there's an extended boil on these in order to raise the sugar content by driving off water before they ferment it. So you'll often pick up a little bit more of the the caramelization in the kettle as well as they drive it off. Although you're not going to get much of it anymore because they're all steam fired, but you'll still get some just from the extended cooking of it.
You usually get a dry finish. Most German Doppelbocks aren't real caramely sweet like you can get with caramel malt or 20L or 70L or 80L. Caramel malts. It's got that sweet malty profile, not sugary profile, but sweet malty profile without being cloyingly sweet in the finish. Because a German Doppelbock really should have a dry finish, be malty up front, sweet up front, but a dry finish. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the toasty malt just stays on the front of your tongue and just stays there, and the back of your tongue is quite clean. There's enough alcohol to help dry this off. There's ample carbonation in it as well to help dry it out at the finish, but it really is a malt forward beer, and it's a toasty kind of malt forward. This one runs a little darker than some of the other ones in terms of color, and you get a little bit more of the toastiness that stays on your tongue. And, just enough hops to clean it up. I mean, there's identifiable hop bitterness in this, but it's not, you won't think of it as being a bitter beer, but you can actually taste the hop bitterness. And it's going to be, primarily the traditional German ones, although with this, they're probably using some of the more modern, higher alpha ones, just so that there's less vegetable material in the kettle.
Right, but there isn't any hop aroma or hop flavor.
No.
It's just the bitterness. So it's
Yep.
probably all boils. They probably throw the hops right in the beginning of the boil.
Absolutely.
Which is probably a long boil, at least 90 minutes, I
yeah.
imagine. You know.
Cheers,
All
Jeremy.
right, to Lent, I guess.
Sure.